All right, ladies and gents, welcome back to the first, I believe, of the year of the new NBA season. Sidelines pass, and we are hitting the hard court today. We've been on a very long hiatus, something about like 3, 4 months minimum. I think last we joined you, we were talking a little bit about the NBA Finals from last year. Everyone knows the result. And the Warriors have decided to be the bane of my existence living in Santa Cruz, California. We're bringing to you three great panelists from the sports community, all great NBA enthusiasts, Fonz, Jason, Sam. Wave to the audience. And then we're just going to get rid of them because it's going to be all me for the next 30 minutes. No, we're going to be talking a lot of things Warriors, going to bring up a lot of things in the NBA, the current season, things that may come about, some things to look forward to, and we're going to talk a little bit MVP as well. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Fellas, welcome to Sidelines Pass. Quick question for you. We'll start out with Fonz, who's holding up his makeshift championship banner. I'm sure that that bodes well on campus over there in the East Coast. So what do you think? Are the Warriors legit? How good is this team?
I mean, like how 17 and 0, 20 and 0 is in play. You never know. 70 wins is in play. Um, you know, the biggest question would have been if they were just like dominating like crappy teams, just playing the 76ers over and over again and winning. But they've played the Clippers. They were down what 23, 25 in the first quarter and came back to win the game. And I think like that was like the proving that the Warriors are really a legit team this season. Like they could definitely go back to back. Curry has been going off. He's like scoring. I don't know. Like I don't know what his average is anymore. Like it's hard to keep track. He keeps on scoring. Um, Everybody is more or less healthy. Well, Barnes has an ankle issue, but that's not really a big problem right now. Team depth is all good. Festus is starting. He's playing well. Favorite player. He's the best. Um, yeah, I mean, like I don't know what could really make somebody say, "Oh, the Warriors aren't legit," unless you like just really hate them. Charles Barkley. Um, so yeah, definitely legit. You know, don't want to jinx them, but like 20 wins right off the bat would be great.
Oh, you're projecting an early 20-0 start. Jason, do you have anything to say about that?
I see them. I don't. I guess 20-0 isn't a bad projection because they still have a few cupcakes in their schedule. Like tonight is against Sacramento. No DeMarcus Cousins. That should be a win. They have their team is loaded for the long haul. If Barnes is going to be the only minor injury they have, then they said that Curry was just recently on a press conference call talking about 33-0. I don't know if 33-0 is legit for them, but they can go. They can run it into the 20s possibly. I think that for them it may be an injury that riddles them, or they're going to have to run up against another hot team, Oklahoma City Thunder, if they, to get them possibly off their roll. But I don't see them really. I don't see them losing to any time too soon.
I like the little nonchalant, non-subtle mention of the Thunder throwing that in there. By the way, third in the West right now, only behind the zombie team, we would like to refer to them as San Antonio, and then you got the 17-0 Warriors. Sam, do you have anything else to say, or are you jumping on the bandwagon too?
I think we're seeing one of the premier teams of what's going to be this decade. We're going in from a transition period where the last two teams that kind of dominated the last 15 years, San Antonio and the Lakers. Lakers are definitely on their way out. San Antonio, yet to be determined whether or not Duncan's ever going to retire. But yeah, I mean, this is excellent, amazing team. Their point differential is 15, plus 15.8. Their next couple games: Kings, Jazz, Hornets, Raptors, Nets, and then maybe they could lose to the Pacers. But their next elite team that they're playing is until December 25th, the Christmas Day, against the Cavaliers. So I don't know if they're going to have the focus and the concentration that the teams need to go like, I don't know, 25-0. But hey, if Kobe Bryant's saying they could make it a run at the Lakers' longest win streak ever at 32 or 33 games, who am I to disagree with the Black Mamba? But yeah, they're an excellent team defensively, offensively. They're deep. They hardly ever get the injury bug. Later on that, but yeah, so they're good to go.
I mean, I'm not one to harp on small comments, but did you just refer to the Cavs as the only other elite team in the NBA? Did you just knock off the Raptors, the Pacers, the Bulls? Are we not even talking about these teams on the schedule anymore? Or are we just looking forward to a repeat of the finals last year?
What I'm saying is the only elite team, proven elite team that they're playing. The next one that they're playing is the Cavs. I'm not saying the Raptors to me and the Pacers to me are really good. They're not elite. If they were playing the Bulls before, I would have said the Bulls, because the Bulls I think are elite. But the next elite team that they're playing are the Cavaliers to me.
Okay, so Fonz, it was alluded to earlier that the Steph Curry comment, 33-0 possibly, which means they're gonna have to go through a bevy of teams. They're essentially gonna have to make it all the way through basically December without a loss, without any hitch or hiccups. But I'm hearing a lot of 20s right now. So are you more on the 30 side? Are you with Steph, or are you going more? Are you going less aggressive and saying, maybe there might be a couple of teams that'll sneak in and win there?
I mean, like, I hope they stay in the 20s because I'm going to the Jazz game in December, so I hope they still have the streak alive going there. But I mean, their next 7 games are on the road, so that's a bit difficult. I mean, you have the cupcakes there, you have the Nets, not the Celtics, maybe the Bucks. None of these teams are really that great. But I feel like if they were going to lose a game, it would be that Cavaliers game. LeBron being all like, "Oh, we have to prove that we're better than the Warriors." It's Christmas Day. Everybody's going to be hyped up. Kyrie might be back. Who knows? And everybody else of the Cavaliers has been playing really well. Like Mo Williams is scoring. Well, when he's been healthy, he's been scoring a lot of points. So, I mean, a healthy Cavaliers team versus a healthy Warriors team. Even though I want the Warriors to win, I think that would be like the first loss, and like not a bad loss. You lose to your finals opponent last year. Like, great for the NBA.
Okay, so before we get too much into talking, breaking down the Warriors and just how good they are, let's dial this back because we're skipping over a couple of teams in there that put the test to the Warriors early on, and one of them was in fact cupcake team Brooklyn Nets. In analyzing that game, what is going to be different in this game against Brooklyn coming up on the road that changes it so differently, that gives the Warriors such a sure win when they barely won against Brooklyn the first time around? Jason, I'll start with you.
Hopefully this time when he gets the opportunity for a putback, the Lopez brother will actually make the putback. I think that the only thing that can stop them from winning in Brooklyn will be if the car service fails to pick up Steph Curry. Because you're going to literally... Like, the one thing that I realize the NBA loves to do, when their big stars head to New York, they love to put this big spotlight on them. LeBron scored 62. Kobe went in and dropped a triple-double, scored 50. They love to do it with Mike. AI played at the Garden, and, he dropped this many points. Steph Curry's coming to New York. He may not be going to the Garden, but he's going into Brooklyn. Jay-Z will be there. Beyonce will be there. The stars will be out. He's going to want to put a show on. So let's not brush over it as if he's not going to come in there looking to put on his show. For all of the I'm a fellow East Coaster. I live in LA, but I'm from Philadelphia. Or for all the East Coasters who don't stay up late enough to catch Golden State games and figure out who these guys are, you'll get a chance to see it right then and there, because they're going to come out. I personally believe that if they're still undefeated going into Brooklyn, they're going to put a show on, and they may beat Brooklyn by about 25 points.
Wow.
Joe Johnson is older,
Wow.
and Brook Lopez is injury riddled, and he's Brook Lopez isn't what I thought he would be. He's a soft banger. He's a banger, but he's softer. So I can expect them to be up early, and you may see Steph Curry on the bench in the fourth again with 40.
I would never want to come to Philadelphia because of that comment ever. Because that, like, if I ever heard that, I would have so much anger at you right now, just because you just basically called all of Brooklyn soft right now and said that they have no ballers. But speaking of ballers and Fonz, if you could, as far as the MVP race is concerned, how far in front is Steph as an MVP candidate?
I mean, who else is there? Harden's fallen off. I mean, like LeBron is great, but like nobody's really considering LeBron, right?
Wow.
I mean, Curry's putting on points and sitting in the fourth quarter, like against Phoenix, like a good team. Like, who else is there? Like, I don't want to jinx him because, like, he could really just like break his ankle tomorrow, which would make me really depressed. But yeah, I mean, there's nobody else near him. I mean, Durant, he's good, but he hasn't been his best recently. I mean, Westbrook's putting up points, but it's gonna split votes with Durant. Like, Curry's clearly number one on the Warriors. Like, people are gonna vote for Curry. And yeah, like if the Warriors like come somewhere near 70 wins, then yeah, like he has to be the MVP.
Okay, but let me ask, and any one of you can answer, jump in and answer this. Does the argument still hold that the MVP isn't necessarily the best player on the best team, but the person or player that is the most valuable to helping their team to victory? Does that not bode for a vote against Curry for MVP?
I think we see a lot with that argument is anytime the team is amazing, right? Anytime that we're getting to a Jordan-esque level at 70 wins or a Celtics 68, that type. The argument of not necessarily being the best player in the best team goes out the window. Anytime a team is that high up in wins, their best player has always won the MVP. Happens in baseball, it happens in basketball, it happens in hockey, it happens in football. Anytime you're near records, that argument usually falters and flows away.
I personally feel like if Golden State wins 72 games, let's say they go 73-9 and they eclipse the Bulls. It would be something where I don't think that. I mean, if they go 73-9 and Curry continues to average 34 a game, he has to get the MVP. I mean, like I said, I'm a Thunder fan. I'm a Thunder diehard, and I'm going to always be like Durant or Westbrook. But if you're averaging 34, your squad only loses 9 games in an 82-game season, and you're making plays, and you're making other point guards out west look silly. Because I seen something last night where he really had Eric Bledsoe afraid to guard him up close. And if you're doing that on a nightly basis, you deserve the MVP. You deserve the talk of the best player in the league. And you possibly deserve the mantra best shooter in the history of the NBA. I'm not saying that he is, but I'm saying that he has more three-pointers than LeBron does, and I think maybe 2 or 3 less years. So you gotta give it to him. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's winning and he's getting buckets.
Is there a close second? Is LeBron even a close second?
I think the obvious answer is Rajon Rondo on the Sacramento Kings. I mean, look, he's averaging 11.2 assists, and his team has managed not to fall apart yet. So he's number 2 for sure. No, I'd say probably LeBron or Westbrook. Paul George is probably my pick because he's taken that Pacers team out of nowhere. I mean, everyone was writing them off, saying this team's in rebuild mode, blah 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 blah. He's averaging 26 points a game. That's incredible for a man who had a compound fracture. So Paul George would probably be my second, but I think obviously Curry's the favorite.
What do you think, Fonz? Who's behind your golden boy?
I mean, yeah, Paul George was one of my dark horse MVP candidates at the start of the year. Anthony Davis, 2 injured. Kevin Durant split votes with Westbrook. DeMarcus Cousins, psychopath, won't get to 500 wins. Kawhi maybe, but I mean I don't think there's no buzz around Kawhi. Like everybody knows, oh, he's a great defender, but we haven't seen like a Kawhi goes for 50-point game. Yeah, I mean like if voting was all just like basketball nerds maybe, but there's the whole carrying the team, and everybody thinks Spurs share the ball. So it's like Harden. He literally carried the Rockets more or less last year, and Kawhi I don't think is doing the same. So I don't really think there is a close second. But I'm a homer, so.
Who's your close second, Jason?
They're struggling to figure out who that can play. No, we're struggling to figure out who will be a runner-up if he's MVP. In most years, you'll say, "Oh, it's a two-player race." Right now, it's Curry, and the only person behind Curry is the bench because he's really running. He's out in front of everybody. This is amazing. You haven't seen anything like this, honestly, since I want to say Jordan, but think about the players who were runner-up to Jordan when he won league MVP. We're struggling to figure out who is the second best player in the league. Who's going to lose MVP to Steph? And then we're like really fumbling. LeBron's still great, Durant's still great, Westbrook's still great. I mean, completely honest, Rondo does really deserve some consideration because he does have 5 triple-doubles, but we're really struggling right now. And that either can be the greatness of Golden State and Steph Curry, or it can be the lacklusterness of the league.
So, if we're struggling to find someone that's doing something even remotely close that Steph is doing for the Warriors, then when it comes to the All-Star vote, February, how many Warriors players do you foresee ending up on the All-Star squad?
3. I'd probably Draymond, Clay, and Curry. Yeah. I mean, Festus. You never know. Festus is the best. But, Boga's going to get some votes. But, yeah, it's probably just going to be 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the All-Star game is, right, it's all about the stars at that point. And while the Warriors have an excellent, excellent cast, the star level really doesn't go beyond, I mean, I would say Curry and then Draymond and then Clay and then Iggy, but playing off the bench. Plus you've got so many stars out west. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook. Kobe's going to probably get a final nod this year because it may be his last. So many guards, and then all your forwards. You've got Dwight Howard. You've got James Harden. You've got not that he's a forward, but you know what I'm saying. There's just the star power is so bright out in the West that probably just those 3, and maybe not even Clay if he continues with the 16 points that he's averaging this year. That he's such a new young star, and the Splash Brothers are no longer equal. He might get forgotten in Curry's shadow.
So you think that Curry goes, Clay doesn't? Maybe by coach's vote.
Yeah, I don't.
and those votes just by popularity just fall to Draymond?
Yeah, I think Draymond has a real opportunity because his vibrato is so large that I think he really connects with a lot of people, whether they're Michigan State fans, whether they're Golden State fans, whether they're just basketball fans. He's a great person to vote for. I don't think Clay makes it through the voting at all. I think he'd have to be a coach's choice. I just think, especially with Kobe's last year, you get a lot of like last hurrah votes. Kevin Garnett got those with the Celtics for his last 3 seasons there. So I'm sure Kobe's going to get it this year.
I go with 1. I say Steph Curry is the lone representative from the Dubs. And I also said that Draymond misses out because of what you said about that bravado. I think he rubs the players the wrong way. If you look at it, that rivalry they have with the Clippers, that back and forth with him and Blake and CP3, he does that with a lot of players and it rubs them the wrong way. So if you're going popularity, a lot of fans see that and it rubs them the wrong way. And he's, of course he's a Spartan, people love him, he's great, he'll get his votes, but I think that if they're going to go with 2, it will be Clay and Steph, but I only see 1 going. I see Steph going, and I see that 2-guard position being locked up by somebody like Andrew Wiggins. Like, he may not start, but it'll be him getting that vote, aside from a Draymond.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch come February time. I mean, as we all remember, it is a popularity vote. The fans vote the starting lineup for both sides, and then, of course, coaches come in and pick who they think are the best representatives as all-stars. Most likely, if he's healthy at that time, Steve Kerr will probably pick up a couple of Warriors to take with him, as most coaches do. Doc Rivers notoriously taking a couple of Clippers over some well-deserving Warriors a couple of years ago. We all remember that, and it happens every year that sometimes there's 1 or 2 players that just don't get the spotlight that they deserve. And I could sort of agree with you, Jason, that, and it kind of goes in the same sense of what Sam just mentioned. We're basically splitting hairs when it comes between Klay Thompson, who is now playing from the shadow of Steph Curry, and with Draymond Green and his mouth. That's basically his new name, the Mouth. But speaking of February, we're talking about, and as you mentioned earlier, Sam, we're talking about elite teams. Everyone is now looking much more towards, and I have no idea why. I mean, we always try to preach parity in the NBA and that any team can make it to the finals, but we're preaching a rematch between the Cavs and the Warriors. But the Cavs have only won 75% of their games. They're 4-4 on the road. So I guess I'll start out with you, Sam, since you're calling the Cavs the most proven elite team other than the Warriors. How likely are they to reach the finals?
I think as the time goes on, the Cavs will not make the finals. And I think that's because the Bulls will figure out how to manage their front court, and their coach will remember that he's no longer in college anymore. I just think I don't even think Derrick Rose really needs to be a part of it. I think Jimmy Butler is such an excellent two-way player. Everyone's forgetting about him. Derrick Rose is going to be – I think he's going to be healthy. I think we're seeing right now just a couple of minor injuries that happen when you've been injured for a long time. Late in your career, you see that usually with – Kobe's a big example, but Allen Iverson towards the end of his career had minor injuries just because you'd been injured over so long. I think Derrick Rose will be there. I think he'll be at that point. He'll realize that he needs to be a complementary player to Jimmy Butler. I think Pau Gasol is proven and ready to go. I think Joakim Noah really needs to be in the starting lineup with him, and they need to figure out that he's really the best passer that they have right now while Rose is dealing with the double vision. They need to do what they did with Noah 2 years ago when Noah was the point forward, when he just stood at the key and passed the ball while the movement was going around. So I think they were embarrassed by the Cavs last year. They gave like no fight whatsoever to the Cavs in the playoffs last year. It was a weak effort, and I think that they were embarrassed and that they'll come back raring to go. And I think that mainly because I don't trust that Kyrie's going to be healthy. Like he'll probably be back, but will he be ready to go? I don't think so. I think he'll be like any other player coming back from a knee injury. I know it's a shattered kneecap and not an ACL, but it still needs time to recuperate. And I think, honestly, there's a little part of me that's kind of the karma of sports. And I think the bad blood between Kevin Love and LeBron James will be enough to make the karma gods push the Cavs a little back when it comes to the conference finals. But I think the Cavs and Bulls will be there in the conference finals, and I think the Bulls will be going to the finals.
Speaking of which, quick update: Cavs barely taking a win over the cupcake team, the Nets, with a last-second hook shot by LeBron James. Cavs beating the Nets 90-88 on a last-second hook shot. So that just goes in more into proving a point that the Cavs may not be so likely to make it. Bonds, I mean, what do the Cavs need to do? They have, in order to get there, they have on the road, actually at home twice, once in January and once in February. They got 2 games coming up against the Bulls. Do you think that they figure out the Bulls by then, or is there something else that they're missing in order to get over that hump?
I mean, health obviously is number one, but I think they match up pretty well against the Bulls. Yeah, because I mean, LeBron versus Butler, like LeBron is still, so much better and so much more physically dominating than Butler. So like, I don't think Butler would be able to like be their offensive hub more or less in like the playoffs. I think he'll just get worn down soon. I mean, like the bad blood between LeBron and Love, like that's really an interesting storyline for the rest of the year. But I think just Love just like finally realizing, oh crap, like I'm getting old, I need to win something because like I haven't been like he hasn't done anything in his entire NBA career. I think like that would be a really big factor, and then just like the hunger from him and Kyrie, they saw it from the bench, like we were there in the finals, we weren't playing, and yet we were so close. Like I think that would be the biggest factor as to why the Cavs would be able to beat the Bulls, beat everybody East, go back to the finals, maybe play the Warriors or whoever represents the West. But I think just that hunger and the desire for having a championship next to their name instead of just being like I scored 30 and had 30 rebounds once or something in his career. But just fun fact, CJ Miles is actually the second leading scorer in the Pacers with 15.9 points per game. Just a thought. It's not wanted.
CJ Miles would be in his 4th year, something like that.
I don't know. He's one of those random players who are like, oh, CJ Miles is there.
Well, Jason, this question's for you. If we don't see the Cavs in the finals, what team would you put there, and would it be a surprise if that team made it?
Well, I want to say the Bulls would be there, but I feel like when Kyrie comes back, they'll be the most complete team in the East. So it's almost like they win by default. But the one thing that I don't give the Cavs, that I give the Bulls a nod to, is the front court. Kevin Love does have a bunch of 30-30 games in his career, but that was when he wasn't winning in Minnesota. He doesn't need a 30-30 game. Honestly, he just needs to get in the post. He needs to get in the post and occasionally Tristan Thompson needs to be able to hit a 10-footer, maybe, because as you know, as Sam alluded to earlier, Joakim Noah at the high post passing the ball as a point forward is legit. And the last time LeBron won an MVP, Joakim Noah was a runner-up. He was I think he might have been like third in the voting because he had about 4 or 5 triple doubles that season. And I feel like I really want to say Atlanta, but I would be just playing myself by saying Atlanta. You know, they lost DeMarre Carroll. The only way I would have said Atlanta is if they would have signed Tobias Harris. They didn't sign Tobias Harris. Kent Bazemore is now filling in for what DeMarre Carroll was. They took a step back. So honestly, it's for Cleveland to win. Cleveland is the East winner by default, and if they actually get knocked off because LeBron is too tired, then Jimmy Butler and the Bulls will basically take their place. It's a two-team race in the East.
Well, that's actually interesting that you say Atlanta and DeMarre Carroll because we're in this discussion we're also talking about surprises and how teams have developed, and over the offseason, the big loss and signing, lost by Atlanta and signing by Toronto, DeMarre Carroll, is on the list of surprises for the season. There's just no two ways about it. I mean, for you, Sam, other than DeMarre Carroll and Atlanta missing his defense and his ability to create transition, I mean, what other surprises have you had in the NBA so far?
Yeah, I've got two, one negative, one positive. I'll start with the negative so we can end on a happier note. Basically, the negative surprise is just how poorly the Rockets have played. And I think that organization made an absolute terrible decision by letting go Kevin McHale. Now they're saying that the story got leaked that they thought he was that he had lost the locker room, but it's really just I think partially Dwight Mayer 3.0. Just he's such a difficult man to deal with as far as needing the limelight and not playing his hardest because he likes the highlights and just all sorts of stuff. But also, Dwight hasn't played as well as he used to. We basically Andre Drummond is what Dwight Howard used to be, and people forget because Dwight hasn't played like that in 3 or 4 years. James Harden has been working his butt off over in Houston there, trying to get his team to figure out what's going on. But at the same time, I don't think Harden doesn't come across as a guy that can really lift his teammates up. I think they're really missing Josh Smith's, not his play, but his leadership skills. So just how poorly the Rockets have played this year, that's been a really big disappointment and a surprise because they were so excellent last year. And then the positive surprise, now I'm going to sound like a homer because I was raised in New England, but I think the Boston Celtics have been a big surprise, and I think the big surprise from them has been how excellent their defense is. Last I checked, they were first in one of the statistics. I think it was holding players to per 100 possessions. They were tied with the Spurs for first on defense. Now they're 2 games over 500. They just lost Marcus Smart. They said 2 weeks, and it's probably going to be more like 6.
Mm-hmm.
But Brad Stevens' coaching has been really interesting to watch. He's in his 3rd year. He's got players that he trusts. Jared Sullinger is all of a sudden becoming a young Kevin Love, even though he's still like 345,000 pounds. Kelly Olynyk has now copied Dirk Nowitzki's move and even used it on him during a game. And Dirk said that was cold-blooded. But minus the funny, hilarious facts is the fact that their defense has been amazing. Jay Crowder is hitting 3-pointers. A.B. Bradley all of a sudden is shooting with a lot of confidence and is what he was before he got injured his rookie year when the Celtics went and played the Heat and lost to them in 7 games but surprised everybody. It's been amazing the growth of this team and how homegrown it is. and how starless they are. It's like Kevin McHale told Brad Stevens, "I think you guys can be Atlanta this year." So Atlanta won 60 games last year. I don't think the Celtics are going to do that. But if McHale is saying that they can do that, again, who am I to disagree?
How about you, Font? Big surprise.
I'm gonna go with two teams. One of them, the vets, got the Mavericks somehow still competitive. With Dirk is their leading scorer, 17.4 points per game. Raymond Felton has started 6 games for them. It's amazing how good they are. Rick Carlisle, fantastic coach, one of the best. But it's really, can they keep this up for the entire season? That's really the biggest question for them. Dirk, getting old. The youngest player is Justin Anderson, 22, but the only one who gets minutes is really Tanner Parsons, and he's 27. So this team's really relying on a lot of old guys, and I don't think they'll be able to keep it up for the entire year. And same thing for the Timberwolves. There's a team that's giving major minutes to 3 20-year-olds, and they're also giving a lot of minutes to Garnett and Andrew Miller. That is amazing. They're a good team. Obviously, Wiggins, Towns, Levine, all super young, all just gaining experience. But they've been, they're 500 right now, and in the West, they're fun to watch. Wiggins, Maple Jordan, fantastic nickname. Yeah, so I don't think I don't think they'll make it into the playoffs just because they're probably going to hit a wall at some point as teams just figure out how to take advantage of the lack of shooting there. But everybody in Minnesota just has to be really happy. It looks like they're going to have a pretty good team, and probably next year already. Just everybody being a year older, having that leadership from Garnett and Professor Andrew Miller passed down to them. It's really who would have thought at the beginning of the year the Minnesota Timberwolves would be one of the more fun teams to watch at this point in the year?
Well, I think it wouldn't be too far-fetched. You have last year's dunk champion. You have the #1 overall pick of the 2015 draft. You have the big ticket. And now you have another top 10 draft pick all lined up on the same exact team. So wouldn't it be too far-fetched to say that you're going to have a lot of noise coming out, if not wins, definitely a lot of noise and some highlights. I personally expected them to try to mimic a new Lob City in Minnesota. You have a bunch of guys that can literally jump out of the gym. Very exciting to watch Wiggins, who started out the year just so high, possibly could be, possibly could have been not just Rookie of the Year, but also Offensive Player of the Year. The way that he was going, I honestly think that this team, it wasn't just so much of if they were going to win, it was more of a when they were going to win. And the other hope was that they were going to be coached by Flip Saunders. And Flip Saunders, as great of a coach he is, he would have taken that team to another level. So I think the bigger question was how would they fit in the upper echelon? How would this team grow? What would be their end result? Now that Flip is no longer there, rest in peace. Now it's more of a question of what are they going to mold into now? Are they just a team with a bunch of kids that are really excited to play, or are they actually molding into some sort of? Are they having some sort of identity and not just a compilation of circus freaks? There's no other way to say it. Jason, same question for you. Biggest surprise this year? Are the T-Wolves on your list, or do you have anything else?
Well, I wrote a piece on the Northwest Division, and I said that they would actually be very competitive losing a lot of close games because they learned a lot from Kevin Garnett and Andre Miller. Well, 8-8 isn't bad considering the circumstances. Ricky Rubio is in and out of the game. He's in and out of their lineup when they'll have Zach LaVine playing point guard. And I'm actually going to go with them as my surprise team of doing really good. I feel like 8-8 for them is all right. They are. Andrew Wiggins is pushing for. I guess I would honestly say he's pushing to start in the All-Star game. And mind you, that's saying something huge in the West, where last night it took 50 points just to keep Philly scoreless for James Harden. We're winless for James Harden. It took 50 points for him last night. Or I'm trying to think of another two-guard out West who actually can compete with a raging Andrew Wiggins, because a couple weeks ago he had scored 30 straight points in like 3-4 games consecutive. And I personally feel as though that, like Fawn said, once you get them on the same page, LaVine and Wiggins, a lot of teams are going to pay for they're going to pay dearly for them, because Wiggins is already a willing defender. He can slash, he can handle the ball, he can shoot. The Minnesota is just waiting for Zach LaVine to catch up. If Zach LaVine catches up to what Wiggins currently is, then teams are going to have a hard time guarding them at the 2 and 3 position. Throw in Karl-Anthony Towns, bring Shabazz Muhammad off the bench. All of a sudden, you have Oklahoma City all over again, 2010. Just with a better big man, because 2010 Oklahoma City had Nenad Krstić. This, Karl-Anthony Towns is a way better version of Nenad, way better than Nenad Krstić, period. And I feel like they'll definitely shock a lot of teams this year, because not only do they have the ability to close out games, but you can see the hunger in Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins wants it. He's not going to let you beat him, and he's not going to let you beat him at one-on-one wise. He's stopping a lot of the bigger guards. He takes that challenge. I like that from him. And in my disappointment, it could be easy for me to say, Houston, they're horrible, all that. I'm going to go with Milwaukee. I expected Milwaukee to be a lot better than Milwaukee is. And I'll say, shame on Jason Kidd for not getting his squad together. You're too busy being frustrated, knocking the basketball out of the refs' hands. You got to get your guys together. You have to get Greg Monroe the ball a little bit more often. You got to set your point guard, Michael Carter-Williams, up a little bit more to score, because right now they are relying on Antetokounmpo to score for them, and he still is maybe a year away from developing his game. So the one thing that I see that, the parity in the league, I don't really care too much for it. If you're good, you're good. If you're not, oh well. But the one thing I respect from this year's Golden State team and the previous years of San Antonio is the ball movement. The ball movement and the player movement. And a lot of these teams don't move the ball, and they don't move as players. I've watched players sit around and stargaze. And as I watch Milwaukee play, they're watching Antetokounmpo just do whatever he wants. No one's moving.
I go to work.
No one's doing anything. There have been games where they could have won their 6 and 10. I know 2 games. The one game was against Cleveland this past week, where they could have won that game. They just got into watching Antetokounmpo jack up jump shots against LeBron because he wasn't big enough to get inside to get to the rim. No one wanted to play, and that to me is a disappointment, because you clearly have O.J. Mayo who can get you buckets. Jarrett Bayless can get you buckets. They lost Pachulia. He was actually a pretty good big man who could score.
Mm-hmm.
John Henson, he's still raw. But give the ball to Greg Monroe. He's a proven big man on the block. Let him go with it. So they're my disappointment for the season so far.
Got a small list here. Surprises so far. Anthony Davis, his health issues. Of course, he's been really banged up this year. A lot of contact injuries. Uh, Houston Rockets are on the list, and as Sam, you said it best, it's not so much of just how bad Houston is. No, I'll take that back. It is how bad Houston is. And I've been saying it year in and year out that Houston is not the team that we thought that they were. They try to prove me wrong every single year by coming out and being this really fiery team trying to come down the stretch and make it to the playoffs as like a top 4 team. But they are not a cohesive team. The way that they were coached, the way that they had their system set up was not going to help, was not going to last. Players could not keep up with that type of system. And I guess overall the icing on the cake was the firing of Kevin McHale. I mean, we all talked about it, we all joked about it, but the fact that he got fired after what was basically a blowout loss, that was one of the biggest surprises of the year. Also on my list, Kobe Bryant looking like Michael Jordan when he went to the Wizards. It's it's kind of it's kind of sad when you see the will is there, but the body is not willing, and nothing is. And it's almost just a result of frustration now more than it is anything else. He's forcing his body to do things that he shouldn't do. Oddly enough, players are still defending him in double teams. I still don't know why teams double team Kobe Bryant or triple team him anymore. I mean, if Kobe Bryant shoots 20, makes 28, the Lakers still need other players to score in order for them to win. So it doesn't matter if Kobe scores 28 or 50. But still, the way that he's looking right now, just it's looking like a sunset season for him. Again, as I said earlier, the impact of DeMar Carroll, it is highly apparent. It is very open. Is very in your face of how much Toronto loves him being there and how much Atlanta needs him there. Because last year, Mike Budenholzer, who got coach of the, who's coming close to coach of the year, I mean, you're looking at basically a team that has did a complete 180. They're starting to resemble a lot more of the Atlanta Hawks when Josh Smith and Al Horford were playing for them, and it just looks very sad, like that 50-point loss team that they lost to against Orlando back in, what was it, 2010 or something like that. And overall, the lack of attention on LeBron James. I think I've gone a whole 3 weeks without hearing anything mentioned about LeBron James. I think that's probably the best thing that it's kind of hard to say it's the best thing for the league right now because you kind of want the spotlight on the NBA as a whole. But it just seemed like there was just this overpouring and over attention on LeBron James, and they're sort of doing it to Steph Curry now. But it's been sort of a surprise that, you know, his image has basically taken the back seat. The Cavs have taken the back seat. No one's really talking about the Cavs right now because we're all talking about the streak. And what's also interesting is that after you talk about the Warriors, we're talking about other teams in the NBA and the teams that we would like to see. In fact, I mean, we're so focused on teams that, you know, just got some really good players from the draft and then made it into the playoffs. I mean, we're talking about the Bucks right now, a team that's been very interesting to watch. One of my personal teams that I'm looking forward to this year to see how they pan out are the Orlando Magic. Elfrid Payton turning into something of a superstar over there. Victor Oladipo, he started out on this hot streak, and I don't know if it was the maturity or if just the lack of seeing his own growth that it got him benched. But he's playing a lot better off the bench now, and it'll be interesting to see how those two work in tandem going forward. And how about Phoenix? the Phoenix Suns, who tried who notoriously, no matter what team you put on the floor, Phoenix has been known. I think Phoenix altogether as an organization must have the most points in the current decade or the current 2 decades, because that team is notorious for scoring over 100 points, and they scored over 100 points against the Warriors. They lost, but they still scored over 100 points against the Warriors, a team that's been holding other teams to under 100 points, about 99.7. So that's pretty amazing. But it's the growth of Markieff Morris that I'm always concerned about, considering that his brother got shipped off to Detroit, and now it's just how that team's going to be put together. Like, how is this team going to grow from there? It's all about the growth, because this is the one team that essentially tanked after the All-Star game last season and decided we're going to go ahead and move on to next year. Picked up Alex Len and seem to be doing a lot better now. So I got to ask you guys, with those teams and like with all the surprises in the NBA, what one team are you looking forward to seeing and why? And then Bonds, we'll start with you.
Not really looking forward to seeing the team itself, but I really want to see a lot more 3-6 Latvia, also known as Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, he's been great. He's fun. He's playing New York, gets lots of attention. He's averaging 13 points per game, but like the hype is just unreal. We all see the highlights, we all see the vines, but just like I'm in New York right now, but I need to watch more of Porzingis because like you never know, he could be the next great big man, but you never know with these guys. He's playing on a team without a lot of depth, so once teams start figuring out what he does well, what he doesn't do well, like will he be able to adjust accordingly and keep up the hype?
So not so much the Knicks, but just wondering where. And you need to tweet him that handle. Just, hey, this is your new nickname. You're now 3-6 Latvia. It would be even more fitting if. I don't know. Is he wearing the 36? The number 36?
Let me check.
He needs to change his number then. That's what it is. I see Jason just over there shaking your head. No, he needs to just change his number, so that way to make it legit. 3-6 Latvia. It'll be done. Jason, what about you? Team that you're looking forward to watch, other than the Thunder.
Other than the Thunder, I'm looking to see, and this here is a team that could possibly challenge both the Cavs and the Bulls, and it's the Wizards. The Wizards are rather legit. John Wall has been legit. Like, John Wall, to me, John Wall and Steph Curry were once those same player, a player who couldn't stay on the court because they were hurt. Steph Curry basically ascended and became great and became a champion. John Wall has still been John Wall. He developed the jump shot. He has about 3 different speeds on the floor, and he's a great dancer. But I'm looking to see how John Wall can keep Marcin Gortat involved, because to me, the key to their season is Gortat. The key to their season is Gortat, because if you look at it, the Bulls have Noah, Gasol, and Mirotic. The Cavs have Mozgov, and they have Love. Well, the Wizards match up pretty well with both of those squads, as long as they can stay healthy. Because Gortat is he's a lot more talented around the basket, offensively wise. He's a lot more offensively talented than both of those teams' big men, with the exception of Pau Gasol and Kevin Love. He's a lot more talented than the others offensively. If they can stay healthy, they can make a deep run, and they can make that Eastern Conference Finals matchup run through DC. I personally feel as though that John Wall and Bradley Beal speak for them. Their games speak for themselves. There's no guard out there who can guard John Wall either. And Bradley Beal is, to me, Bradley Beal is John Wall's. He's his best compliment. I know deep in the playoffs will be where they miss Paul Pierce But I also thought back a year even further, and I said that they should have done more to keep Trevor Ariza. Because Trevor Ariza is a lengthy 6'7" forward / guard who can guard a LeBron James. He's a little bit younger than Paul Pierce and can guard LeBron. He can frustrate LeBron. He can also make shots. So I'm looking for Washington in the second half, to see what they do and how they get themselves situated there.
And Sam, what do you think? Team that you're looking forward to watch this season?
Yeah, I've got so Porzingis is a good one. Obviously, the Washington Wizards are always fun. I love seeing the Polish Hammer not live up to his nickname every night. John Wall's turnovers have been a big issue, I think. But Bradley Beal, all of a sudden, he had an off year last year, was injured last year, and now he's been an excellent counterpart to Wall. But I think I love watching the Miami Heat to see Jameis Winston go to work and to see how excited Dwayne Wade gets every time Winston shows a flash of what he can be, because Dwayne Wade's just like, oh my gosh, I have someone I can play with ever since LeBron left. But my top two teams, and they're both because they are the greatest reality shows in basketball. The 1B are the Sacramento Kings, and I think they should just stop making highlight reels for them. I just want to see ego highlight reels, like moments where George Karl gets spit on by DeMarcus Cousins, or when Rajon Rondo decides to punch one of his teammates, in below the belt, so to speak, because they're not doing the right thing. They're just such a mess over there. I'm so excited for when DeMarcus Cousins finally gets traded to the Celtics, and Brad Stevens puts a muzzle on him. So that I'm really excited about. But the other one is the second reality television show in the NBA are the Clippers. And the Clippers, I think, they have such potential to be an absolutely great team. The talent level of Blake Griffin and Chris Paul is absolutely incredible. I think they could be a legit threat to the Golden State Warriors, because I think, well, we'll get to the Warriors a little later and their weaknesses. But I think what's really fun to watch about the Clippers is how disastrous the bench is and how disastrous Doc Rivers has been as a GM so far. It would be the two stories, right, that can come of this are, wow, Doc went and got Josh Smith, Paul Pierce, Wesley Johnson, and Lance Stevenson all to back it up, and then he re-signed his son. He didn't get a backup point guard. You got Austin Rivers, who's been great defensively, and he just scored 17 points last night. But he got crunch time over Paul Pierce at one point during the season, and you're just wondering, now Paul Pierce has never been a leaper, so to speak, but he looks like he's got 20-pound ankle weights on him now, and we just need to put him with Walt Disney in Disneyland, where they've got him frozen, and keep him there. We got to keep him there until April and just bring him out for the playoffs. But just the ego trip that's going on in Sacramento, and then the not being able to figure it out, all the crying, all the whining, all the barking. Really, I think watching the Clippers and watching them figure out this journey of how to make their bench unit work will be really, really exciting.
Wow, ankle weights. Don't go to Los Angeles, okay? I mean, Paul Pierce might just, take one of those ankle weights and then, drive by one time and just say ankle weight that.
And then I would kiss Paul Pierce's boots because he was so good for the Celtics for so many years.
To be completely honest, the Clippers, the Warriors did what the Clippers should have done 2 years ago. They won a championship. They got in. They stayed pace. They made some small changes. One big change, of course, Mark Jackson. They kept pace, and they won. The Clippers get in. and they get in, and they get in, and then next year, and then next year, and there's always this conversation about when. And in one of my power rankings, I argued that the Clippers feel like this is the last season that they can do this. So I believe that if you're looking for a team and how this season pans out, if you're looking for a team how they got into the playoffs and a team that might be the most ready, I agree. Not for all the sake of purposes of trying to watch just a great team, not for trying to find some highlights or anything like that, not because they still carry the nickname Lob City, which I don't see many lobs anymore, but I agree. The Clippers should be another team to watch just because this could be their year. They could be this whole team could be breaking up after this season. I mean, they just signed DeAndre Jordan back, but Blake Griffin, what about him? What about Chris Paul? What if Chris Paul goes back? He's been thinking these last 2 years, all the Lakers really needed was a point guard. That's all they really needed, and he cuts across town. What if he misses his bowling back in New Orleans? What if he decides to go back and team up with Anthony Davis now as a Pelican? What if he really liked being a Hornet? What if he goes to Charlotte? These are a lot of what ifs. What if he liked his days back in Florida, down to going to Wake Forest? What if he decides to peace out and go to Miami? Maybe they they steal him. Maybe Miami steals him, and then they make another big three with Winslow, Wade, and Chris Paul. So yeah, if you want to see how this story might end, I would say watch the Clippers. And then you alluded to that the Clippers might be the Warriors' kryptonite. I need you to spell out that for me as far as how the Clippers could beat the Warriors.
Yeah, so basically, the thing that I think is the Golden State Warriors' kryptonite is when you get Steph Curry out of the game, right? And there's two ways you can do that. One is to pray that Luke Walton or Steve Kerr just go crazy and bench Curry the entire game. The other way you can do that is by getting him into foul trouble. And I think we saw that with the Clippers-Warriors game the other night is Chris Paul went at Steph Curry because Chris Paul is a pit bull mixed with a French bulldog and a Rottweiler. And you just throw all those three dogs into one person and you get Chris Paul, who's just I think he hates all the talk about how good Steph Curry is. I think he still thinks of himself as the best point guard in the league. So when you got Steph Curry out of the game, you can focus on taking Klay Thompson out. You can focus on making Iguodala a jump shooter. You can focus on making sure that Harrison Barnes doesn't jump over your chest and into the basket. There's just a lot to like about the point guard matchup between Chris Paul and Steph Curry. The thing is it's also going to come out whatever team, if any teams beat the Warriors, it's going to be because of the bench. And I think the couple teams that could potentially beat the Warriors, Bulls, Cavs, San Antonio Spurs, Clippers, and and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Those teams I think could beat the Warriors playing their cards right. And the reason is the Clippers. If the Clippers can figure out their bench, if Lance Stevenson all of a sudden becomes Lance Stevenson again, if Josh Smith is what he was in Atlanta, if Paul Pierce rekindles what he was not with the Celtics but with the Wizards last year, you've got an incredible bench. Now, one of those people I just mentioned are probably the small forward, but in the starting lineup, but you can get an excellent bench that can go up against Leandro Barbosa, Sharon Livingston, Festus Ezeli, Andre Iguodala, whatever starter Luke Walton or Steve Kerr pairs with that. So I think the Clippers have a good shot. I think San Antonio has the best shot, in my opinion, because Greg Popovich, I think, made a conscious decision this year to say, we're going to do the opposite of the best team in the league. And he went big rather than going small. Now, they're still doing pace and space, like every other team in the NBA, unless you're a Tom Thibodeau coach team or, any of the bozos out there. Like Byron Scott, who doesn't do pace and space and hates the three-point line for some reason. Even though I do love Byron Scott, but he needs to do pace and space. Greg Popovich decided, look, we're going to battle the Warriors where they're weakest. Warriors' best lineup is their small lineup with Draymond Green, the tallest person out there. Or no, Harrison Barnes the tallest with 6'8", but the guy playing center is 6'7", Draymond Green. And if Greg Popovich can figure out the Duncan, LaMarcus Aldridge combination, and they play at an extremely high level, and you sick the Rottweiler of Kawhi Leonard onto Steph Curry, I think you've got an excellent shot. 'Cause I love Draymond, and you can't really move him, but you can shoot over him. And Aldridge proves that every time that he goes against the Warriors, and Duncan's proved that too. So if they play really well at a really high level, and Popovich figures it out, and we're not going to see that till the playoffs because it's the Spurs. They cruise. So as long as they make the playoffs, which I'm sure they will, I think that's the best shot at being the Golden State Warriors' kryptonite. Other than that, maybe the Oklahoma City Thunder if Durant and Westbrook just averaged 30 a night for 7 games. The Cavs, I think, if they play, if everybody's healthy on the Cavs, and maybe the Bulls, but I think the teams that have the best shot are the ones in the West, and that's the Spurs, followed by the Clippers.
What do you think, Jason?
To stop, I'd have to piggyback off of Sam. In order to stop Steph Curry, you must get him in foul trouble. And I said earlier, I felt as though that they're hiding Steph Curry. Luke Walton and Steve Kerr do a really great job of hiding him on defense. They know that he isn't a great defensive player, but Klay Thompson's pretty good. Harrison Barnes is pretty good. Draymond can guard 3 or 4 positions. And then you have Bogut or Festus Ezeli. Iguodala comes off the bench. They all can defend, so it's easy for you to say, you know what, go ahead and do whatever you want to do, Steph. We need you on the offensive end. When it comes down to it in the postseason, I think that your best bet guarding Steph may be a Kawhi Leonard, but my thing is, whomever you have guarding Steph on the offensive end, don't expect much from them on their offensive end, because he's going to wear them out. And you beat Golden State in a 7-round series. You're going to be very tired. You're going to be frustrated. You'll be battle tested, but you're going to be tired and frustrated. I think San Antonio will have to go with the big man form of it. They can't really guard LaMarcus Aldridge. They can't really guard Tim Duncan. That part of it, you can't guard. You can't guard big. So that part is where San Antonio will excel. They move the ball well. They excel. They make the shots. With the Clippers, I don't know. The Clippers, to me, are a circus. You have an old Paul Pierce. I'm pretty sure in one of the last games I watched the Clippers playing, Doc Rivers was asking Lance Stevenson how to blow in his ear so he can do it for his wife. I feel like they're not going to be able to really match up with them, because all of the Clippers who were there for the rivalry, they have in their mindset that it's a rivalry, and they have allowed Golden State to get into their heads already. Josh Smith, Lance Stevenson, Paul Pierce, they're new. So that rivalry mentality part of it is like, we're just here to play ball. But Blake and CP3, their mindsets are already like, we need to beat them. And CP3 is on the back end. He's done. I think that those injuries have really caught up to him. He's top five point guard. I'll give him top 5 point guard. But honestly, your best chance if you're Golden State, and I'm sorry, if you're the Clippers, your best chance of beating Golden State might be to put Wes Johnson on Steph Curry, or put Lance Stevenson on him. Because Lance Stevenson will frustrate him. Lance Stevenson's crafty defensively, and he actually, aside from all the Jedi mind tricks, Lance Stevenson can really defend. I'm an Oklahoma City Thunder homer, and we don't really have a defender. Dre Robinson can defend, but once you get beyond Andre Robertson, we don't have anybody else. So it'll just be an offensive onslaught back and forth. Who can score and who can miss? That'll be what that is. When the team that blinks first in that series, if they make it to the Western Conference, that'll be a great series because it'll be a battle of the ball going up. Other than that, no team can really make them hold the ball and do nothing with it. 24 seconds off the clock. Steph Curry shot it in 12. Klay Thompson shot it in 12. So, in a sense, I'm almost saying that in order to beat Golden State, you kind of got to meet Steph Curry at the door when he's leaving for the game. Because if not, then you're going to have one hell of a series, and hopefully no one gets injured. And if no one gets injured, he's going to put up about 150 threes that series if he goes to 7. He's going to jack up some threes because you're looking at this dude. He's coming down shooting from 35 feet. If he hits one, he gets rolling, and now he's hitting them. And you're diving. Your big man is diving out 4-point play.
So
your big man is sagging back. Well, he's stepping up. Lob to Festus. Lob to Bogut. Teams are scared. I feel like teams are really scared to play them. So I think the best team posed against them would be San Antonio or possibly Oklahoma City.
Okay. So basically, well, it's all in agreement that we're looking at teams that can basically be big against the Warriors. But, I mean, everyone's tried this, and it didn't work last year. So, Fonz, tell me, I mean, is this true, or is this the Warriors? Is that the Warriors' kryptonite? Is that the only thing being big against them, or are these guys really that dominant? Is it going to be? Does it take a lot of little things in order to beat the Warriors?
I mean, I think for the Warriors, if you're planning to beat them by being big, you're still going to lose because you're trading 2s for 3s. Sure, Tim Duncan can score, against Draymond, time and time again. But on the other side, they're going to put Duncan in a pick and roll, Curry and Draymond. Curry's going to pass to Draymond, and I don't think Duncan's fast enough to get to him. What does Draymond do? Draymond shoots a 3, it goes in. The Warriors are still going to be leading. So I think, the Cavs, had a blueprint last year. Thompson and Mozgov really put the Warriors in a bad place. But now, the Warriors have Festus is playing well. Third time I've mentioned him. Bogut is still, he's still Bogut. And then now they have Maurice Bates, who's, up and down. But then they also have Jason Thompson, who, is probably living the life after spending most of his career in the Kings. And I forget which writer said this, but one of the writers said, when the Warriors got Jason Thompson, is that he plays Duncan and Aldridge really well. So, I mean, the Warriors saw, that what the Spurs were going to do, and they were like, hey, let's get a guy who defends, Duncan and Aldridge really well. And let's just have him there to be that guy, just to be like, oh, we're being destroyed by the 2 bigs. Go in there and lock them down. So I think that's really the only weakness that the Warriors had, and they kind of answered that. I mean, maybe, having a shooter off the bench would be another addition they could do, but, if they don't want or need to mess up the team chemistry, I don't think they should. Uh, and I think for the Warriors, I mean, they're if you put Kawhi on Curry, you're leaving or Clay on probably Tony Parker or whichever point guard that the Spurs have, and Barnes and Thompson, like partly because of Mark Jackson and the way he uh, had the Warriors play offense. They're used to backing down a smaller guy and then shooting over him, much in the same way that you guys are saying that Duncan and Aldridge could shoot over Draymond. So I think, like the Spurs definitely could win. I mean, they're the Spurs, they're one of the best teams. They have Pop. Um, but honestly, like if you look at it that way in terms of matchups, I still think the Warriors still have an advantage over everybody else. But along those lines, the Bulls have actually been a team that the Warriors have really struggled with against in recent, like the last 2 years. The Bulls were the last team to beat them at home, and when they played at Oracle this year, the game's really close. So if the Bulls and make it to the finals against the Warriors, like, I think that'll be a much closer series than people think.
Okay, well, wrapping up here. So, basically, we're looking at a Warriors team that's been dominant all season, and everyone is just kind of sitting on their hands. And I don't know if maybe like Fonz, as you said at the beginning of the show, anyone that thinks that the Warriors are the best team, it's probably those same haters, as you called them, that are kind of waiting for a team to beat them, and it'll be interesting to see exactly who does it and how. It's all agreed upon that the Warriors could be beat, um, but it's not going to be a consistent one, and it might not be all on the same page. That the Bulls of all teams are not only the most likely to beat the Warriors, but to be Eastern Conference champions and represent the East in the NBA Finals. And in the end, that other teams just need to learn how to coach better. um, maybe Byron Scott can help the Lakers from being the second worst team in the league by actually learning a thing or two from other coaches. Maybe the hashtag fire Byron Scott thing isn't too premature. Maybe they get a change around. Maybe Oklahoma City comes out of the West instead of just sitting third, surprises people and hits second, and then starts beating teams up. Who knows? But what I know is that for now, we're going to leave it at watching the Warriors do their thing, stay on fire, and watching their next game as it unfolds. And I'm just going to leave this with you guys. And Fonz, Jason, Sam, where can we, Fonz, start with you. Where can we find you on Sidelines?
Sports and entertainment, writing about mostly TV, basketball. Stanford just beat Notre Dame, so I'm really happy right now.
For all you college football fans, that means that Notre Dame is officially out of the college football playoffs. Thank you for playing Notre Dame. See you next season. And Jason, where can we find you on Sidelines?
I'm basically in sports, writing about basketball, ranting about my Packers losing first place to the Vikings. I'm basically mentally distraught about that, and how my fantasy football has kind of gone to hell.
And Sam, how about you?
Yeah, I'm all on sports. I'm also the sports Reddit recruiter, so if anybody wants to come and join Sidelines, email me at sidelinesportsrecruiter@gmail.com. I'll hook you up with an application, set you off.
Sounds awesome. And, of course, yours truly, JT. You can always find me all over Sidelines, mostly in sports. And we'll be picking up where we left off here after the Warriors' first loss, because that will be the biggest subject going forward for this NBA season. Thank you all for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or if you'd like to be part of the next broadcast, please send me an email at ApolloFlow, that's APOLLOFLOW @gmail.com, or find us on Slack. I am at 4FApollo. You have at Fonz.yap, at Jason Williams, Jason Dunmore, and at Sam Williams. We're signing off. Thanks for joining again, and take care.